All right, buckle up because today we're taking a deep dive into something pretty wild. It's called Silverwazh Plus. They call it a cosmonutraceutical solution. Like, what does that even mean?
Cosmonutraceutical, huh? Well, that certainly grabs up your attention, doesn't it? I'm definitely curious to see what exactly they're going for with that.
Right, and that's exactly why we're here today. We've got a whole bunch of stuff to dig through, like their product description, this ingredient list that looks like it came straight out of some sci-fi movie, a ton of testimonials from people who swear by it, and even some scientific analysis to boot. So let's jump right in.
Sounds like it'll be a fascinating deep dive. So, where should we start?
Well, I think a good place to begin is with the product description itself. You see, Silverwash Plus is marketed as this like all-in-one solution for all sorts of issues. But honestly, what really caught my eye was that ingredient list. I mean, we're talking about stuff like distilled structured water, nano silver, hydrogen peroxide, nascent iodine.
Structured water, that's a pretty fascinating concept. You can think of it kind of like this. It's water that's been, well, restructured at the molecular level so that your body can absorb it easier. Picture it as this like super efficient delivery system for your cells, bringing them all the good stuff.
Okay, so it's not just your average H2O then, but hang on, hydrogen peroxide. Isn't that kind of harsh stuff?
Yeah, you're right. Hydrogen peroxide is usually used as an antiseptic, right? But get this. The concentration they use in Silverwash Plus is super low, only 1%. And in that kind of dose, it's actually considered safe to take internally. In fact, it can even be beneficial. Think of it as a gentle cleanse for your insides.
Interesting. So we've got this super water-carrying nanosilver, which, as we know, is antimicrobial, and then a bit of hydrogen peroxide for a little internal cleaning. And then there's the nascent iodine, which is important for your thyroid, right?
Absolutely. And let's not forget the mint matrix. That seems to be a blend of essential oils and other organic ingredients, probably why Silverwash Plus tastes so refreshing. So they've thought about both the science and the experience, which is interesting.
Yeah, so far so good. But then they throw in this Bovis Life Force thing with a number attached to it, 30 million. Now that's where I start to get lost.
I get where you're coming from. So the Bovis scale, it was developed by this physicist named Alfred Bovis, and it's basically an attempt to measure, well, the vital energy or life force of something. The bigger the number, the stronger that life force supposedly is. Now, I'll be honest, it's not exactly scientifically validated, but a lot of holistic practitioners swear by it. They think it provides some pretty valuable insights.
So they're claiming that Silverwash Plus is not only loaded with these beneficial ingredients, but it's also infused with this life force energy. That's a pretty bold statement, don't you think?
It definitely is. And while we always want to approach things like the Bovis scale with a healthy dose of scientific skepticism, it's still interesting to consider how this energy concept could play a role alongside the more scientifically backed ingredients.
Okay, so we've got this unique combo of science-backed ingredients and this kind of more esoteric life force energy thing going on. It's almost like they're trying to bridge the gap between traditional wisdom and modern science.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And speaking of bridging the gap, let's move on to one of the more intriguing bits of evidence they've presented, the live blood microscopy study. This is where things get visually interesting.
Right, they've included these before and after pictures of blood samples from people using Silverwash Plus. And let me tell you, those after pictures are something else.
Tell me, what was it that stood out to you about them?
Well, in the before pictures, you see the typical blood cell clumping, which they say points to bad circulation and potential health problems. But the after pictures, those show a huge improvement. Blood cells are spread out more, the plasma looks clearer, and it just looks healthier.
It's definitely some compelling visual evidence, and while we always got to be careful about jumping to conclusions from just one study, especially without a control group, those images are pretty hard to ignore.
Exactly. It really makes you wonder if this whole combination of ingredients, plus the structured water and the life force energy, actually works to make your blood flow better and improve your overall health at a cellular level.
Now that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And to get a more well-rounded view, I think it's time we turn to the people who have actually used Silverwash plus the testimonials. Let's hear what they have to say.
Yeah, let's see what people are saying. They've got a whole section dedicated to user feedback, and some of these stories are pretty wild.
So what are some of the common threads you're seeing in these testimonials?
Well, people are reporting all sorts of benefits, from better dental hygiene and fresher breath to having more energy and even feeling happier overall. Some folks are even saying it's helped with specific problems they've had, like skin issues or digestive troubles.
It's really fascinating how many people are reporting these positive changes in all these different areas of their health. Now, of course, we always got to remember that testimonials are subjective and there could be a placebo effect happening, but the sheer number of positive reports and how consistent they are definitely warrants a closer look.
I totally agree. It's like they've tapped into something powerful here, something that goes beyond just treating individual symptoms and actually boosts your overall vitality.
And speaking of vitality, there's one more piece of this puzzle we need to examine: an analysis conducted by Amelia Lee. She's a leading expert in integrative medicine and quantum physics, has a PhD in everything.
Wow, those are some serious credentials. So what did her analysis focus on?
Well, it shows this really cool piece of tech called a BioWell device to analyze how Silverwash Plus affects the human biofield. Now, the biofield is basically this energy field that surrounds and permeates our physical body. It's a pretty new area of research, but it's starting to gain a lot of traction in the scientific community.
Wait, so they're not just looking at the physical effects of the product, they're also checking out how it affects our energy field. Now that's taking things to a whole other level.
It is, isn't it? And according to Amelia Lee's analysis, the results are pretty remarkable. So she found that using Silverwash Plus actually led to some pretty noticeable improvements in energy balance, chakra alignment, and just the overall coherence of the biofield. It's like Silverwash Plus helps harmonize and optimize the flow of energy throughout your body.
That's pretty wild. It's like they're taking a truly holistic approach to health, right? Recognizing that our physical, energetic, and even emotional well-being are all connected.
Exactly. And even though biofield research is still kind of in its early stages, these findings give us a really interesting glimpse into the potential Silverwash Plus has to impact our overall vitality.
Okay, I'm starting to see how all these pieces fit together, the unique ingredients, the structured water, the whole life force energy thing, and now these biofield effects. But, I got to be honest, I'm still a bit skeptical about those live blood microscopy images. Is it possible those changes in the blood are just due to other stuff? Like what someone ate that day or how much water they drank?
That's a really good point. We always have to think about all the possible factors when we're looking at scientific findings, but I think it's worth pointing out that the changes they saw in those blood samples after using Silverwash Plus do line up with what the product claims to do.
How so?
Well, think about it. If Silverwash Plus really does improve circulation, reduce inflammation, and helps your body detoxify like the testimonials and Amelia Lee's analysis suggest, then it makes sense that those changes would show up in your blood, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. It's like those live blood microscopy images are giving us a sneak peek into the good stuff happening deeper down in the body.
Exactly. And while we can't say for sure based on this one study, it definitely adds to the evidence suggesting that Silverwash Plus is having a real, measurable impact on health.
I'm starting to think that Silverwash Plus might be more than just another trendy health product. It could actually be a groundbreaking way of approaching well-being, one that takes the whole person into account, not just their individual symptoms.
I think you're onto something there. It's like they've taken ancient wisdom and combined it with modern science to create this product that taps into the body's own ability to heal itself.
What I find really impressive is that they're not shying away from scientific scrutiny. They put forward that live blood microscopy study. They got a top expert in integrative medicine and quantum physics to analyze their product, and they're even looking into how it affects the human biofield.
You're absolutely right. Their commitment to scientific exploration is something to admire. It's refreshing to see a company that's willing to invest in research and really push the boundaries of what we know about health and wellness.
Now, this structured water thing, it's got me wondering, if it's really as beneficial as they say, why aren't more companies using it in their products?
That's a great question. One reason could be that making structured water on a large scale and keeping it stable is still a bit of a technological challenge and pretty expensive. There's also the fact that some scientists are still skeptical about it. Structured water kind of shakes up the way we traditionally think about water, so it makes sense that some researchers aren't fully on board until there's even more evidence.
So maybe Silverwash Plus is just ahead of the curve on this one, like a pioneer in this new world of health and wellness.
I think that's a real possibility. As more research comes out and people start to understand the benefits of structured water better, we might see a real shift in the industry.
It's exciting to think about the kind of impact Silverwazh Plus could have on the future of health and wellness.
Definitely. It's like they're not just creating a product, they're starting a movement towards a more holistic and integrative way of thinking about well-being.
Okay, let's switch gears for a bit and dive into the specific claims they're making about Silverwash Plus. They say it's antibacterial, antifungal, antiviral, supports the immune system. I mean, the list just goes on and on. They even say it helps with stuff like dental health, vision, and even your adrenal glands.
They're definitely covering a lot of bases, aren't they? And to be fair, some of these claims are backed up by pretty solid scientific evidence. We know that silver is a powerful antimicrobial, for instance, and iodine is super important for your thyroid, which affects a ton of systems in your body. Exactly. They're not sticking to just the conventional ideas about health and wellness. They're pushing the limits and encouraging us to think about the interconnectedness of our physical, energetic, and even spiritual sides.
I'm really intrigued by this mint matrix. They say it's antibacterial, antifungal, antimicrobial. Basically, it's anti-everything. But what is it exactly?
From what they've told us, it seems like a special blend of essential oils, aloe vera, and other organic stuff all mixed in with that structured water we talked about earlier. It probably makes the product taste good and feel refreshing while also adding some extra health benefits.
And I bet that structured water makes those ingredients even more effective, right? Helps your body absorb them better.
Exactly. It's like they've created a symphony of ingredients, all working together in harmony to boost your overall health and vitality.
I gotta say, the more we learn about Silverwazh Plus A, the more impressed I am. They're not just throwing a bunch of random, trendy ingredients together and slapping a fancy label on it. They've clearly put a lot of thought and research into this product.
I totally agree. Their commitment to science, using cool new technologies like structured water and biofield analysis, and their willingness to consider both traditional wisdom and modern science really sets them apart.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground today: structured water, nanosilver, biofields, life force energy. It's been quite the ride. But there's one last piece of the puzzle we need to address: that Bovis scale and the claim of a 30 million life force value. I'm still not quite sure what to make of that.
I understand where you're coming from. As we mentioned before, the Bovis scale isn't scientifically validated, and a lot of mainstream researchers consider it pseudoscience.
So, should we just ignore it altogether?
Not necessarily. While we should approach it with healthy skepticism, it's interesting that many holistic practitioners find it useful for assessing the energy of different substances. Maybe our current scientific methods and understanding just aren't sophisticated enough to fully grasp how energy works and how it affects our health.
You mean there might be more to it than we currently realize?
Exactly. It's like we're only getting a tiny glimpse of a much bigger, more complex picture.
It makes you wonder what kind of scientific breakthroughs might be just around the corner, discoveries that could shed light on these seemingly far-out concepts.
Absolutely. And maybe Silverwash Plus, with its unique blend of science and tradition, is paving the way for those breakthroughs.
Okay, I think my perspective is starting to shift a little. I'm still holding on to a healthy amount of skepticism, but I'm also feeling a sense of wonder and possibility.
That's the great thing about exploring new ideas, right? It opens our minds to new possibilities and challenges our preconceived notions.
It's like we're witnessing the merging of ancient wisdom and modern science. And Silverwash Plus is at the forefront of this movement.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And as we continue to delve deeper into the mysteries of health and well-being, who knows what amazing discoveries await us.
It really is an exciting time to be exploring these new frontiers in health and wellness.
It is. And Silverwash Plus Up, with its bold approach, seems to be leading the charge.
Speaking of Silverwash Plus I, we've talked a lot about the science behind it, the ingredients, the potential benefits, but let's get practical for a sec. How do you actually use this stuff?
Well, one of the most interesting things about Silverwash Plus is how versatile it is. You can use it as a mouthwash, a nasal spray, put it on your skin. You can even drink it. It's like a Swiss Army knife for your health.
So you could swish it around in your mouth for better dental hygiene, spray it up your nose for respiratory support, dab it on cuts and scrapes, even add a few drops to your water.
Exactly. They've designed it to fit seamlessly into your daily routine, whatever your needs or preferences are.
That's pretty cool. But I gotta ask, with all these different ways to use it, are there any precautions or side effects people should know about?
That's a great question. It's always a good idea to be cautious when trying any new health product. Silverwash Plus is generally considered safe for most people, but it's important to follow the directions and talk to your doctor if you have any concerns or if you've got any health conditions already.
Okay, so common sense and a little bit of due diligence go a long way. But overall, it seems like they've really focused on safety and making it easy to use.
Absolutely. And I think that really shows their commitment to making well-being accessible to everyone, taking a realistic approach.
As we wrap up this deep dive into Silverwatch Plus A, I can't help but think back to how skeptical I was at the beginning. I came into this with a lot of doubts, but honestly, I'm walking away feeling pretty impressed.
I get that. It's totally normal to be skeptical when you hear about a product making these big claims and using ideas that challenge the way we normally think.
But the more we dug into it, the more I saw a company that's really dedicated to pushing the boundaries of what we know about health and wellness. They're not afraid to back up their claims with scientific research. They're using cutting-edge technology, and they're even exploring these new frontiers of energy and the human biofield.
They're definitely not afraid to ask the big questions or explore the most advanced science. And that's what makes Silverwazh Plus so fascinating.
It's like they're challenging us to rethink what's possible when it comes to our health and well-being.
I think that's a really important point. They're encouraging us to see things from a more holistic perspective, to realize that our physical, energetic, and even spiritual selves are all connected.
So what's the final verdict then? Is Silverwatch Plus the miracle cure it claims to be?
Well, we have to remember that there's no magic bullet when it comes to health. But I do think Silverwazh Plus offers a pretty compelling combination of scientifically backed ingredients, innovative technology, and a holistic approach that considers the whole person.
And who knows, maybe it really is a glimpse into the future of health and wellness, a future where ancient wisdom and modern science work together to help us become the best versions of ourselves.
It's definitely a future worth exploring.
Well, that about wrapped up our deep dive into Silverwash Plus. We hope you found it informative, thought-provoking, and maybe even a little inspiring.
And remember, the journey of discovery doesn't stop here. Keep asking questions, stay curious, and be open to new possibilities.
Until next time, take care and keep exploring.